Greetings, one TEDCO family out there. I am Troy Lamel Stovall. I humbly serve as the CEO of TEDCO, Maryland's early stage technology and life sciences investment and support arm for the ecosystem. And I am excited today to welcome a fellow HBSer, as well as someone who is clearly a partner with us in developing and uplifting those early stage tech and life sciences companies here in Maryland, particularly in Montgomery County. I welcome our friend Bill Tompkins, the president and CEO of the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation. Bill, thank you for being with us today.
Great, I'm happy to be here.
So Bill, we like to have a lot of fun on the show. So we're gonna talk about your journey, which you have had an amazing journey to get to this point, and we'll get to that. But I need you to bear with me for just a hot second, because we're gonna have a little fun. And so we got a really interesting team here at TEDCO. We go out and we do our research on the folks that we have here on the show. And then we try to have some fun with it. And so I just changed my background. And so, Bill, we know a couple of things about you, right? We know you got this passion to be a pilot, right? And let me move over here. You got this Pomeranian. Y'all got some Pomeranians. And, you know, you wanted to be with Warren Buffett. We're going to talk about that. But the thing and the other surprise I got for you is this thing over here over my left shoulder, that little W, you know, that commander's thing, you know.
I see that.
Thing. I see that, but I got something for you. See, I got something for you. This is called a star.
I don't know where you're going to be on Thursday, but you're not going to have a good time.
This is called a star, my brother. This is called a star. It's a star.
That stands for. The Commanders are going to have a great time on Thanksgiving Day. Trust me.
It's a star, man. It's a star. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. But I do have to ask about your desire to be a pilot. Talk to me about that.
Because I'm a free spirit. That's why. Just the thought of taking off and flying through the open skies, growing up near, at the time it was called National Airport in DC, watching those planes land and take off. I wanted to be the one doing that. And I actually took a lesson actually up in Boston while I was in school, and flew one of those little Cessnas. And to this day, when I get on the plane, I go, if anybody needs a volunteer to fly that 747 or 787, I'm ready.
So you have your pilot's license. You have your pilot's license.
I'm just ready. You know, I do not use drugs, but I have that feeling I would be ready.
That's good. So the other thing, I think is on here, we understand you have the desire to learn to play the piano. So you didn't become the pilot, and you also want to play the piano. So what motivated that?
Well, I feel that everybody should have a lot of skill sets. I couldn't play basketball, which really, really upset me, because I saw myself being on the high school basketball team. Throw that out. What musical instrument? I listened to the piano on all the time. The problem was, when you take piano lessons, it's really hard to do it when you have a cardboard keyboard as opposed to a real piano. And when I worked in California, I swore I was just going to buy a piano, put it in my condo, and learn the hard way. But never give up. It's still on my to-do list, my bucket list.
There you go. That and the pilot, being the pilot, and that both on the bucket list.
Being the pilot and maybe playing for the Commanders. They may need a little bit of help.
I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna hold back.
On Thursday, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine against your little Dallas friends.
Oh man, I love it. So you have had, you know, as I look at your bio and look at your journey, because I also understand you have a hobby of being an architect. So you got this being a pilot, being an architect. Clearly, you went to business school. Like I said, we went to business. We didn't go same time, but we both went to Harvard Business School. And as I look at your journey, you've been at newspapers, you've been at Kodak, which some of the folks listening may not even know what the heck Kodak is. We'll get to that in a minute. May not know what the hell Kodak is. And now you run Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation. So as opposed to kind of walking, and we'll come back in different pieces, but I guess what's the thread? What's that thread that, you know, again, wanting to be an architect and having an MBA and working at a newspaper? What's the thread for Bill? What's those three to four threads that you think kind of tie all those things together for you?
I think for one, it's creativity, doing things that are creative, doing things that require a vision, doing things that demonstrate success. You know, if you design a great building, it's there in perpetuity. As you and I know, whether we knew it at the time, when I applied to go to business school, I had 5 different choices for top business schools.
Oh,
And
excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Go brag on yourself, brother. I ain't mad at you.
but here's what people told me. Go with the brand that you mention the name of the business school and you don't have to say anymore. You know, I could have, but people go, oh yeah, that University of Pennsylvania, you mentioned HBS or Harvard Business School. If you get through there, then you're good enough to do just about anything.
Okay. You get the market, you get acceptance into that market, to that club. If it's admission to a club.
Right or wrong. But the point is, it's, as you know, very rigorous, but it pays off. So I look at things that I think are going to pay off over time. Even when I worked at the Washington Post, when newspapers, when print was, and the Post itself were, you know, the tops in the industry, having grown up here in Washington, D.C., and then in Montgomery County, the newspaper was larger than life, and the opportunity to work and learn and have my name on the masthead meant a lot. So for me, it's all about doing something that makes a difference. It's about creativity. It's about success. And you talked about me still wanting to be a pilot and maybe play for the Commanders. It's also about what you can do. So you never stop. There's always an opportunity to do something down the road.
So it's funny, my father, who recently passed away, many people know my father recently passed away, he used to say, if you don't, when you wake up in the morning and then you go to bed at night and you reflect on your day, if you say on that day you didn't learn at least one thing, that means you're probably dead. And his point was every day should be a learning opportunity for you. And so that's what I hear coming from you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, when people talk about getting old, I don't want to hear it. You may get older, but you should never get old.
I love it. I love it, Bill. So you talked about newspaper, and again, some of our particularly much younger folks, you know, again, both you and I remember when, you know, you had 4 channels to get your, you know, entertainment. The newspaper was the source. The 6 o'clock news and the 10, or right. For me, it was 10 o'clock. And on the East Coast, it's 11, was the source. You got your news. It was Walter Cronkite and David Brinkley and those kind of names. But you talked about the role that the newspaper had during that heyday. Talk more about that, because you use the word masthead. Some people might even know what the heck you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And just talk about, you know, the role that the newspaper had in this evolution that it's now become.
Well, to your point, whether it was the Washington Post or the New York Times or CBS and Walter Cronkite, people counted on media publications like the Post to get not just news, but information, but to entertain them. It was part of your daily life. Mm-hmm. And the expertise and the experience that newspapers in particular had about delivering both local and national news were, you had to read the Post if you grew up in DC. Mm-hmm. What happened over time is that with a lot of technology disruption, digital technology came on. You know, you had the internet, and over time, people's habits for getting information transitioned from traditional print to digital media. So I was there for 19 years, and I watched it as it was beginning to happen. But I was also fortunate that, having run marketing there, I managed our focus on the print publication, but also the introduction of digital technology. And it didn't bother me at all. Mm-hmm. You go where it goes, you go where the technology goes.
Go where the puck is going, not where the puck is.
Exactly. And you have to feel comfortable doing that. Mm-hmm. In fact, that's why I ended up going to Kodak. Kodak at the time was moving from traditional film to
now, before you go there, for folks that don't know, Kodak at one point was one of the biggest companies in the country.
It was one of the biggest icons in the world.
Yes.
It was one of the first sponsors of the Olympics, first corporate sponsors of the Olympics. People remember the Kodak moment, and everybody had, you know, a camera, film. But Kodak also was in the middle of the motion picture industry. So if you think about it, every movie you ever saw was shot on mostly Kodak film. When you went to the theater, you were seeing prints. When TV commercials, advertising was all shot on film. And I went out there to manage their marketing as they transitioned from film to digital. The problem is it didn't happen very quickly. So I had 9 or 10 or 11 great years out there during the day managing a traditional film portfolio around the world, while at the same time I was responsible for our strategy to convert to digital. When digital cameras started for both shooting film and also what you see projected on the screen, I watched that transition happen.
Yeah, so for folks, and I'm going to come back to that. For folks, again, I keep saying for folks, it used to be with cameras, you had the physical film, you had to take it to the store to get it processed and come back and the like, and Kodak and Polaroid were one of the first ones to do instant cameras where you could actually get it instantly. But it's funny, Bill, you got to see two significant industries, newspapers and Kodak physical film transition. And I think this all leads to your role at the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation. I guess what I'm getting to is, talk to me about the lessons you learned in seeing these huge industries, which, to your point, newspapers was the only source we had. It was newspapers or the 6 o'clock news, and film was the way in which we shared memories, because we didn't have it on our phones. How you saw those two industries transition in your lifetime and what you learned from that transition?
Well, one of the things you always need to be prepared. Number one, you need to feel comfortable with change. And, I like consistency, but you've got to be prepared for change. And if you look at what's happening with economic development in Montgomery County, it still is one of the wealthiest counties in the United States. It is still incredibly successful. It is incredibly diverse, but at the same time, it's a changing county. 115 languages are spoken in Montgomery County.
Wow. 100. You said, I want to say it again, 115 languages.
115 languages are spoken in the school system here. 8% of the population is below the poverty level. So when you're looking at a wealthy county, you've also got to look at how it is changing and how you manage economic development to help a very changing environment. It's not what it used to be. And our challenge is to make sure that we focus on growth because we are getting older. In fact, let me go back for a second.
Yeah.
And this is a quote from our county executive, but having grown up in the area, it is very true. In 1970, Montgomery County was 98% white. In 2023, it is about 52% people of color.
Well, that's an interesting stat when you marry that up against 115. So you got 52%, so a little over half, but 115 languages are being spoken.
Exactly. So things have changed dramatically, but they've also changed for the good. It's a liberal county, yes, but it has something for everybody. And I think we have to balance the things that make us successful. We're lucky to have a strong federal government presence here. But we've also got some really great industries like life sciences, technology, hospitality, the list goes on. And we want to make sure that those industries continue to grow so that we can also take the diversity of the county and the opportunity to help new industries, new people. You help new industries every single day. I mean, you're all about venture capital and private equity and funding startups to make sure that there's also the opportunity for those who are coming in and are just starting out to be just as successful as those who have been here for a long time.
So you gave a great lead in for my next set of questions. No. So why don't you back just a little bit, because a lot of our folks may not know about Montgomery County. You gave a little bit of Montgomery County, but also introduce the Economic Development Corp too.
Sure. So there are 18 Montgomery counties in the United States. Montgomery County, Maryland, we're just outside of Washington, D.C. In fact, my house backs up to the city line, to the city of Washington. We have over 1 million people who live here. It's the economy. It's $100 billion economy. We talked about the diversity of the 115 languages that are spoken here. We have 3 of the most diverse cities in the country, 3 of the top diverse cities. It's really an exciting place to be. It's home for the NIH, National Institutes of Health. 18 federal agencies are based here, and the list goes on and on and on. So what Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation does is to ensure that we have equitable job growth in terms of attracting companies to come here, in terms of taking the companies that are here to make them grow, to allow them to expand, and to ensure sustainability. So it's all about job growth.
Yep.
And making sure that we have a firm base in terms of the economic platform that drives tax revenues. It's actually that simple. We got jobs, we got companies that are doing well, the rest will take care of itself.
So I'm gonna do even more of an advertisement for just to give my friends, and if I get anything wrong, stop me. It's the #1 population county in state of Maryland. It's the #1 GDP county in the state of. I think it's like 25% of the state GDP is out of Montgomery County, if I remember correctly. I think 25% of the population is also in Montgomery County as well, give or take. Home to Walter Reed folks, particularly our military folks out there. Made them mow the Walter Reed. The Walter Reed moved out of DC and they relocated into Montgomery County. And lastly, a big chunk of the cure for the vaccine for COVID came out of Montgomery County.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a huge life sciences industry that's concentrated here, mostly along the 270 corridor. And it keeps growing, by the way. So we've been on the map for a while, but if you look at the COVID cure and other cures, we are cutting edge in terms of the research that's done here and the creation of new products, especially around cell and gene therapy.
So what are the 2 to 3 kind of key goals and objectives that Bill and the county are working for over the next 5 years?
A couple of things to make sure that those industries grow. For instance, I talked about hospitality. It's really corporate hospitality. So 80% of the ownership of hospitality companies across the United States are right here in Montgomery County.
Yeah,
or I should say 50%. 80% in the region. So you think about Marriott, you think about TEDCO, you think about Choice Hotels, you think about Real Estate Investment Trust, you think about RLJ. You know, Bob Johnson, who used to own BET, has his own real estate investment trust right down the street. All of those assets are concentrated here. So which also attracts a lot of capital. So we want to make sure that those industries, technology, corporate nonprofits, the real estate industry, developers, that they are doing well in terms of having access to capital, access to the talent they need to run their companies. And as long as they are growing and we can help them grow here, then the county will be successful and it will have the resources it needs to have one of the best school systems in the country. A lot of people don't realize Montgomery College is one of the top local colleges in the country, top 10, right here. They have 3 different campuses and they're right here, but they also need money, obviously, to continue to do the programming that makes a difference. So our focus is all about jobs, jobs, jobs. And as long as we're doing that and can funnel that growth, then it's going to attract the capital. It's going to make you successful at TEDCO, because it means while a lot of your money goes, into other areas, underserved communities and so forth, we want to make sure that this is also a firm ground for people who have new ideas, who want to start companies, who want to expand, to bring more capital into the market to facilitate future growth.
No question. And you talk about higher ed. You've got a very unique, outside of Montgomery College, a very unique 4-year model with the University of Shady Grove. You want to talk about the University of Shady Grove?
Yeah. In fact, there's nothing like that in the country. They represent the 9 or 10 schools in the university systems of Maryland. All of them have degree programs right there. So regardless of which school you may have started at, whether it's the University of Maryland or Bowie State or anywhere across the state of Maryland, you can go to the universities at Shady Grove and continue your education. And so we count on institutions like that to funnel the future talent that we're going to need to sustain growth down the road. And by the way, we don't mind borrowing from the region. There are 25 institutions of higher learning in the DMV, District, Maryland, and Virginia. So we can borrow. University of Maryland happens to be right across that line.
Prince George's County would definitely want to claim it, but yes.
I mean, we're even happy that the FBI is going to Prince George's County because it makes the entire region in the state of Maryland that much stronger. So even though we're collaborative.
No, that's a great point. You and I talk about that. And you've heard me talk about this notion of stitching. We're a state that physically is actually pretty small, and even from a population pretty small. And so all the great stuff you're doing, but you don't do it by yourself. You do it because other parts of the state can help you be better as well. So a better rest of the state helps Montgomery County be better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so the connection between us, our teams talk on a regular basis. As I said, we do early stage technology investments, but we do a lot of work together. For our friends listening, we do a lot of work together around some federal grants, around opportunities to partner with other counties, as we talked about. But also, how do we help stimulate and build that next stage of companies, which can become potential technology and talent assets for the larger companies that you have there in the county?
Yeah, that's really important. And in fact, you have a lot of programs. Both bringing capital together with entrepreneurs is a big part of what we do in terms of a lot of our sponsorships, partnerships. And it's not just about capital, to your point. It's also about making sure that there's a strong network of individuals who are going to be successful. So if you look at the Women's Leadership Institute that you guys started, to make sure that we are taking advantage of women who are entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs, future success stories, they got to be prepared. And we like the fact that you do programs like that in addition to what you're doing to make sure that people are ready once they have capital to start a business or to take it to the next level.
Thank you for bringing it up. And for those listening, I would encourage you to go to our website, TEDCOMD.com. Search for women, our women's effort. We're going to be launching a cohort here shortly. I'm not sure when it's going to time out when we release this video. But look at our women's program, Bill. We did a pilot in Montgomery County with the support of Bill and his team, and it was a very successful pilot. Had a great graduation ceremony there in Rockville, I guess about a month or so ago. And so, thank you, Bill, for support. And so, look, man, as we close out again, I can't thank you enough for being here today and everything that you do. I got to ask about these Pomeranians, bro. Now, how many of those you got?
We have one now. We're on number 4. We've had 4 over the last 30 years or so. So the newest one just showed up a couple of months ago. And they're easy to take care of, a ton of fun, smart as hell. We used to think it was easier than having kids, but we're learning that that's not necessary.
We got a dog now too. We got our kids at school, and it's like it's the child that never leaves, right? It's a child that costs you all this money and they never leave. And so they bring you joy, but they just never leave the house. So they're always in your pocket.
Yeah, I had 2 board meetings yesterday, only to find out that there was a hole in my sock. I know where it came from.
That's sharing, Bill. Now that's really sharing. So what's the name of the current one? What's the name of the current one?
Dakota.
Dakota. You saying Dakota? Dakota, like
Dakota. Yeah, we didn't want a traditional name. People said we should name the dog Bear or Wolf or this. It's like no. Let's do something uplifting and fun.
So
the last one was he was Prince of Darkness because he had that dark side to him. If you weren't looking,
the name was Prince of Darkness. That was the dog's name.
Yes, that was the dog's name. I called him Prince for short. So, but this one is Dakota. So.
You got the dog Prince of Darkness?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. You just call him Pod sometimes? You call him Pod or Prince? You call him Pod or Prince?
No, he was always called Prince. Yeah.
Okay.
The one before that was Mr. Chips. And people used to bring him Christmas presents. That one, he was really popular. They've all been popular. So, but I haven't talked to Dakota about whether he's going to help me fly this airplane behind you.
Well, he got the seat. We've already put it into motion, bro. We're making it happen. We're speaking to him. So my last question. Score next week, Thursday. What's the score?
The score is going to be 31-17.
Y'all's gonna score 31 points? Are you saying we're gonna score 31 points?
No. It's 31-17. It's gonna be a piece of cake, lots of fun. Nobody will choke over their Thanksgiving dinner unless they happen to be in Dallas. So we're just gonna sit back and enjoy it.
But it's funny you say that. some of the best Thanksgiving games have been the Redskins when the Redskins and the Cowboys. They had some. You probably go back. You go back. They had some amazing Thanksgiving Day games. Absolutely amazing Thanksgiving Day games.
Yeah, we've had season tickets since before I was born. 1963 is when my father bought the first set of season tickets for what was in the Redskins. And now my sister and I we have club seats at FedEx Field, and we'll be there on Sunday. And then we'll be at home watching our favorite team pulverize those people in Dallas, that little star you have on your head. So it's going to be fun, a good week.
My friend Bill Tompkins of the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, thank you, sir, for being here today. Thank you for all you do for the county. Thank you all you do for the state. I really appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for your time today.
Well, thank you.
So everyone, again, we're taping this, you can probably tell, right before Thanksgiving. So by the time you see this, your Thanksgiving, but pray you had a super safe and blessed Thanksgiving with your tribe and your village. And as I always like to say, stay safe, sane, healthy, and blessed. Until next time, this is Troy Lamel Stovall of TEDCO. Take care.